Hello and welcome to the Sycle Allegro integration webinar. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We're super excited about this integration. Here at Sycle, we always want to provide our customers with new, exciting, more options for things like financing. So ultimately, you can deliver better healthcare to your patients. Just a couple of housekeeping notes before we get started. Everybody's on mute. So that's pretty standard for one of these. We will be sharing a recording with all attendees, and we'll also be sending out a recording to our entire list. So if somebody couldn't make it because they're seeing a patient or happen to be out on lunch or something, we will be sending this out after the fact. There's a Q&A box that's in your portal. So at the bottom where it says Q&A, there's also a chat. If you have a question, please put it in the Q&A box because that's going to help us with sending out some frequently asked questions and things afterwards, as well as addressing the questions that you have during. So just a little bit of differentiation there. And without further ado, my name is Dan Sellers. I'm the Director of Sales here at Sycle, and I'm excited to introduce Indra Lalari on our product team, and also Amar Malik. Indra, Amar, would you like to introduce yourselves to our audience?
Sure. Thank you, Dan, and welcome everyone. My name is Indra Lalari, and I lead up the product management team here at Sycle. Been here coming up to close to 2 years now, and I come to Sycle with extensive experience in building and delivering products in the healthcare industry, and really excited to be able to be here to share one with you today.
And Indra, correct me if I'm wrong. This is your first webinar, right?
Yeah, you're right. It is. So I'm honored again to be here to share this one. Thank you.
And hello, Amar. How are you doing? You want to give us a little background and why you're here today?
Yeah. Hey, Dan. Thanks for that. Thanks for having me. Some of you might remember me from an earlier webinar at the start of this year. I'm the general manager for Synchrony Health and Wellness's audiology and vision markets, which is traditionally has been Care Credit, but we're excited. A lot of you know or may know that we acquired Allegro Credit about 1.5 years ago. So Allegro is a big part of what we are doing in audiology, and we're super excited to be part of Sycle with Allegro. And I've been in my role about 4 years, and really looking forward to sharing the Allegro Credit and Sycle integration with everyone today.
Now, just to confirm, Amar, Allegro used to be Allwell, is that right?
That's right. Some of you on this webinar might think or might have heard the name Allwell. Allwell and Allegro are the same company. They went through some kind of different branding and different strategies for the go-to-market product name, but Allwell and Allegro are the same. So if you say, oh, I think I use Allwell, I never use Allegro, you've been using Allegro and maybe you just haven't known it.
Awesome. Thanks for the clarification. So just a quick agenda. We're going to go through a quick overview and then just the integration overview and some of the key benefits, why the Sycle Allegro integration is happening. We've got a demo that we're going to share so to kind of walk through how this is going to look in the system. And then we'll point out some next steps, kind of important information that you should be aware of if you want to get signed up with Allegro, or if you're already signed up with Allegro, you know, how to get the integration going in your system. And then we'll dive right into a Q&A. And so, Amar, do you want to give us just a quick overview on who Allegro is?
Yeah, for those of you who don't know who are on this webinar, my guess is a lot of you do know Allegro, but if not, Allegro actually has over 60 years of experience, originating loans, across 3,000 providers in the audiology market, as well as in music, dental, and other markets as well. But audiology has always been first and foremost for Allegro, and it's been great. A great product for many, many years. Allegro is an installment loan product, so there's different versions of that. There's traditional installment loans with very competitive low patient APRs, as well as waived interest versions, where if the patient pays it off in the allotted time, they don't pay any of the interest. And Allegro, some of you may know and some of you may not know, and this will be available through Sycle. There are non-prime secondary lending options with Allegro as well. So if somebody cannot get approved with a traditional, we'll call it prime, they don't have great credit score, Allegro does offer them the ability to get a loan even without great credit. Allegro also, there's no application fee, no prepayment penalty. And if they're approved, they can use the loan to purchase products right away. So there's a lot of great products under Allegro, and we'll be talking a little bit more, but all of this can be used in Sycle going forward. And so we'll share more on how to do it, what you need to know and what you need to do.
Awesome. Thanks, Amar. Indra, do you want to review some of the overview of the integration, just some of the key benefits?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. So yeah, we can now talk about how this financing option is integrated with Sycle and the key benefits of this solution offering. So yes, of course, we're very excited here at Sycle to bring you this new patient financing solution, Allegro Credit, that Amar just touched on, which is now fully integrated with our Sycle products, both Sycle Pro and Sycle Private Practice. So very thrilled to be able to share it with you today and ultimately deliver it to your practice and support you there. So through our partnership with Synchrony Bank, we are now able to offer your patients with more patient financing choices to really better serve their lifestyle needs right within the Sycle applications. And this tight integration we've jointly developed with Allegro comes at no additional cost for all of our Sycle customers hoping to use it and to take advantage of this solution. The primary benefit of this offering is it really promotes operational efficiencies and allows you to process patient loan applications directly within Sycle in just a matter of minutes. And that was really the goal of this integration, is to keep our providers, business owners, people interacting with the application right within the application to work through these loan applications. And there is no need for you to spend time on any collection efforts. You have the peace of mind that you'll be paid up front for all your services rendered. And it truly is a quick funding turnaround process, and you'll get an opportunity to see that through the demo. So those are some of the key highlights with this new financing option in Sycle, and we'll talk more about others in the coming slides. And I suppose one thing I would like to highlight is at Sycle, and certainly since my coming on to the organization, is building products that really add value to all the clinics we serve is always top of mind. And through early active collaboration sessions with our customers and our development partners, we identified the essential workflow optimizations that our customers prefer to have with this specific integration. So for example, timely decisions, a speedy loan application process, and a more simplified end user workflow experience in Sycle is what our customers requested. So we believe we've done just that, and today's demonstration will provide you with a first look at that integration that we're so proud of and to share with you. But before we show you the product demonstration, we'll talk a little bit more about Allegro Credit. So maybe next slide, Dan. Great. So why Sycle and Allegro Credit? It's the rationale. The Allegro Credit option increases your ability to offer patient financing solutions that fit your patient's budget and for them to be able to receive their devices the same day through offering additional patient financing choices to them. It is very different from all of our other patient financing solutions already available in Sycle, as it is a term loan offering. So similar to how you would say finance a car or a home, it is not revolving credit such as a credit card. It's definitely an option for patients who prefer not to have to fund their purchases through another credit card, but do want financing to proceed with their hearing healthcare funding. So with Allegro, patients have consistent monthly payments along with specific loan payoff dates, such that they can better control their financial imperatives. Perhaps I'll pause here and turn it to Amar. Is there anything more you would like to share about this type of loan offering that maybe I didn't cover or highlight, Amar?
The main thing is patients nowadays, we've seen with our research, they're looking for different payment options, right? Some patients, they prefer a healthcare credit card. Other patients are looking for an installment loan and they don't want another credit card. They want that consistent monthly payment. And at the end of the day, what Allegro has is that consistent, low monthly payment, very competitive patient APRs, and a really stable product for patients who are looking for something a little bit different. At the end of the day, that we're trying to make it affordable for people to move forward with treatment and get the hearing aids. So it's a great option that is now in Sycle.
Excellent. Yeah. So, I think with this entire process and what you described, really can be best visualized through a product demonstration. And I'll be guiding you through one using the private practice platform as our guinea pig today. Note, however, the integration is also available on our Sycle Pro platform as well. For the demonstration, I'll focus on 3 key areas. Number 1, we'll show you what you need to do to activate the Allegro integration. And secondly, how to apply for Allegro credit loans. And finally, how to fund these loans, which is really a quick and straightforward application process, which you will see takes only a few minutes to complete. These are really the primary steps within the product to get you started in using the integration. So we'll jump right into the demo.
And Indra, just before we jump into the demo, the pro and private practice implementations are almost exactly the same. Is that right?
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely, same process, same workflow. Just as you know, the graphical user interface is different, but the steps are identical.
All right, let's just hop right into the demo. 1 second.
Let's start by showing you how easy it is to activate the Allegro integration on Sycle's private practice. First, you will want to navigate to the Administration tab. From there, scroll down to Clinics. Here, choose the applicable clinic you wish to activate. In our case, we will choose Easton. Select the Edit button. This takes you to the Edit Clinic screen. From here, scroll down to the bottom to the Allegro API key field. Here you will insert the API key that will be provided to you by Allegro. Then at the bottom of the Edit Clinic screen, select Save. The activation is now complete. You are now ready to use the Sycle Allegro integration to process loan applications for your patients. It is that quick and simple to do. Next up, I'll show you how to initiate an Allegro loan application for your patient. This workflow begins with initiating a patient invoice. For the purposes of this demonstration, we have created an invoice for a fictitious patient in advance. Now from the invoice summary screen, I can create an application for an Allegro loan. Let me show you how this is done. Start by selecting the Apply Now button. This leads you to the Allegro application form screen. To simplify this step, most of this form is pre-populated for your benefit. Though you do need to enter a few criteria, including the patient's social security number. Let's do that now. The patient will provide a monthly income amount to be inserted here. We'll go ahead and insert $8,500. Finally, and agree to the disclaimer information by selecting the checkbox, and all that is left is clicking the Apply button. Then, depending on the credit decision, the patient is either provided with an opportunity to sign an Allegro application or not. In this case, Mr. Lee is approved for an Allegro credit loan and a positive congratulations message is displayed. Hopefully it is a success for both the patient and the clinic every time. In the event that the application is denied or requires additional details, the Sycle integration will guide you on what is needed. It is easy as that. For now, because Mr. Tony Lee was approved, we'll go ahead and click on the Select Offer button. Term options and loan payoff dates are displayed for the patient. Mr. Lee decides to choose the 36 months payment term. There is an option to include a down payment, and that is entirely at the clinic and patient's discretion. In this case, Mr. Lee has decided not to proceed with the down payment. We will go ahead and click on Accept. This takes you to the review contract where you have the opportunity to walk the patient through the contract details before the patient signs the document. In this case, Mr. Lee decides to proceed. We go ahead and select Continue. And now you are firmly outside of Sycle and onto the Allegro portal where the patient can complete the application process and sign the contract. The first thing you will see on this screen is the option to set up autopay, and it is in the best interest of the patient to do so as it results in a lower rate of interest, and this is completely optional. For the purposes of this demonstration, we will bypass autopay by clicking on Change Method and selecting Skip Setup Autopay Later, and by clicking on Continue without autopay on the pop-up confirmation window. You are now directed to a new screen where you will be asked to read and agree to the electronic record and signature disclosure. Select the checkbox agreeing to use electronic records and the Continue button, which will take the patient to the Allegro loan contract. Click on the Start button and go ahead and e-sign and initial. Select the Finish button once everything is signed. You have now successfully completed the loan application process. It's that easy. Select the Done button and you are able to close this window. At this point, you are now back in the Sycle application. The next step is to fund the application, which happens when the patient receives the item being funded. This can be on the same day, or the patient can return later. In this case, Mr. Lee is picking up his device right away. Mr. Lee has his device, and we're now ready to fund the loan. Let me show you how. Start by clicking on the Submit for Funding button. A pop-up window will appear asking the clinic to confirm that Mr. Lee has received his purchase. I'm going to go and click on OK to confirm. Next, a pop-up window will display Funding Initiated. Click the OK button. This will take you back to the invoice summary page where the funding initiated message displays next to the Allegro credit icon. Funding typically occurs within 72 hours. So I'm going to pretend it has been a couple of days and hit refresh, where it now shows that I have received the funding for Mr. Lee's purchase. As you can see, it's a fairly seamless process that can enable patients to walk out with their device the same day while the clinic has the funding in their bank account a few days later. Thank you everyone for your attention. This concludes the demonstration portion of our presentation today.
All right, awesome. That was a nice quick video. Now let's switch back over to the deck. So just to review some of the important information, Indra.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you, Dan. Now that you've all had a chance to learn about this new product offering and being able to see exactly how to use it through the demonstration we provided, we can now talk about its availability. So, well, and hot off the press, the Sycle Allegro credit integration has been released and is available for you to use today. So what do you need to do to get started? Number one, this will vary based on whether you are an existing Allegro subscriber or need to become one. So our Sycle webpage details both processes for your future reference, but for now, we can start with the clinics that are, say, existing Allegro credit subscribers. So to use the Allegro credit integration directly within Sycle, you will need to first obtain an API key from Allegro Credit directly via email, and you'll need this key to activate the integration in Sycle as I demonstrated. As I mentioned, of course, again, our webpage will have the information you will need documented on this process for you, and it's very easy to do. You can also reach out to Allegro Credit at activateallegro@syf.com. And you'll need to include key information in your communication, such as your practice name, your Allegro account number, and the clinic names and locations that you want to activate. And from that, you will receive a link to the activation instructions along with your API keys from Allegro. And you'll be well on your way once you have that to start using the new integration. So those kind of preliminary steps need to be completed. And maybe right now I'll turn it over to Amar again if there's anything more you'd like to emphasize or anything material that I may have missed on the activation requirements for existing subscribers.
Yeah, I think you hit it all. We will be giving VIP service for all those interested in activating Allegro within Sycle to make sure you have the support needed via the email or any follow-ups. It will be a very straightforward activation once you get the kind of API key code. And again, send the email. My team will be staffing and tracking that email and following up in an expedited manner to make sure everyone who's interested in activating, and we hope most or all of you will, can activate Allegro in Sycle and start using it right away.
Excellent, great. All right, next slide. Let's talk about for those that would be moving, like our brand new Allegro subscribers. So for those of you who are not currently Allegro credit retailers but would like to be, the Allegro team is providing dedicated resources to help you get started, as Amar just mentioned, and you can reach out to them directly again at the activateallegro@syf.com. Additionally, Sycle will be providing you with an email over the next few days detailing the next steps. The webpage with instructions documented for you and giving you a little taste of what it's going to look like here in this screenshot and how you will be able to get started. So any other things, Amar, that you'd like to talk about in terms of the team you've assembled to support the clinics?
Yeah, a little bit what I mentioned earlier. For those not using Allegro yet, who might have heard of Allegro or Allwell, saw the invite to the webinar and said, "Oh, let me learn more." We're constantly looking and signing up new accounts. If you have a Care Credit account, we're all part of Synchrony. We can expedite that. If you're not part of Care Credit, it's no big deal either. We can go through and we try to expedite the activation of the Allegro credit account and enrollment, we call it, very quickly. And once you're enrolled, you'll be ready to use the integration with it. You'll get an API key and you can use Sycle and Allegro credit right away. So we're definitely looking for as many practices who are interested in signing up for Allegro. We're here to support, and we will give, again, that extra support and training necessary to make you very familiar with how Allegro works and all the benefits of using Allegro, especially the installment loan portion, waived interest, or secondary lending.
Great. Excellent. All right, so this does bring us to the end of the presentation and demonstration portion of this webinar. We do hope that you've enjoyed our webinar presentation on the Sycle Allegro integration, and hope that you'll find this new workflow beneficial to your practice and one that your patients can leverage in the near future as well. So we would love to now take any questions that you have on the integration, and I'll pass it over to Dan to help begin with the ones that we've posted.
Yeah, so let's run through some of these. So the first question we got is, will this replace Healthy Plan and Care Credit integrations? And the answer to that is no. This is in addition to. So if you're already using the Care Credit integration, if you're already using Healthy Plan, you can add this to your solution offering for financing. So no, this will not replace either of those. This is just simply in addition to. The second question we have, and I think, Indra, this is probably going to be for you, but does this pre-qualify patients like Healthy Plan and Care Credit do?
Yeah, I'm going to actually pass it on to Effie as our lead product manager on the call to answer these questions related to the product and setup.
Thank you, Indra. To answer this question, no, this offering does not pre-qualify. However, both Allegro and Care Credit are owned by Synchrony Bank. This means that the criteria under which they approve is very, very similar. So if you are pre-qualified by Care Credit, similarly, you will be qualified by Allegro. So basically, just look, if you already use Care Credit, you will automatically know whether they're pre-qualified by looking at your daily appointment calendar.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Effie. And maybe this one's for Amar, but if the next question is, if we offer secondary financing, will this still apply for us?
Yeah, great question there. It will still apply. So Allegro has what we call in the industry a waterfall. So if you offer Allegro first, it'll try to get everyone approved for more of the prime installment loan up to $10,000. If not approved and you have activated or you've worked with your Allegro rep to offer secondary financing, it will approve those that qualify for the secondary financing offer, which is up to $5,000, but it will be part of the integration with Sycle.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks for that, Amar. The next question is, will this be completely integrated with the Allegro site? So what we do in Sycle can be seen on the Allegro site. And I think in the product demonstration, and Effie, correct me if I'm wrong, all the information for the patient and most of what is needed for the application will pass directly to the Allegro application to process. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. The next question, if the patient decides not to do auto pay at the time of the application and later wants to set up auto pay, will the rate be reduced at that point? And I guess, Amar, that's probably a question for you.
Yeah, as part of the process flow in Sycle or in Allegro in general, we do recommend people use the auto pay during the origination of their loan. That will give them the kind of reduced APR. If they do not do the auto pay, it will be a slightly higher APR, not too much higher, a little higher. However, if they later on set up auto pay, that'll help them make sure they pay on time. Unfortunately, we are not able to change the rate or the APR down, since it's kind of a full loan for the life of the term.
Awesome. All right. The next question is, can we apply and fund on the same day? I'm pretty sure the answer to that question is yes. Effie, you want to confirm that for us?
Absolutely. It is yes, so long as you have the product that the customer is financing for, then certainly you can provide it to the patient the same day and fund the loan the same day.
Awesome. There's a couple of questions related to cost for providers or per clinic added or anything of that sort. And just to confirm, you guys, this is not going to cost you anything to add the integration. This is completely free for all customers to use the integration if you're, obviously a Sycle customer and an Allegro customer. The next question is in regards to getting the API keys. Is there a way that we can get them, sort of automatically?
Hey, Dan, sorry to interrupt really fast on the cost. I did want to make sure that the cost, kind of what Sycle might charge, is it's not additional. There will be the traditional kind of merchant fee cost that Allegro has always had. Very, very competitive, very, let's say, low in the marketplace. If Craig, I think, asked the question, what's the cost to the provider? From an Allegro standpoint, it's kind of the standard rate sheet that you've always been using with Allegro. And if you're not an Allegro user, we can make sure that you get a copy of the rate sheet through the enrollment process. But I did want to clarify that, Dan, in terms of the fee with Allegro. We're not charging anything extra for Sycle, but it is kind of the standard Allegro fee that you might have been paying when you go to allegrocredit.com.
Awesome. Sorry, I think I misinterpreted that question. We've got a customer with a number of locations and is curious if we can send the API keys automatically or use somebody there as a point person. And yes, we can absolutely do that. And I will get that list put together for you when we get off this call. Should this be done on off hours due to integration issues when installing? And I think, Effie, that's probably a question for you.
Most definitely. So we would need for you to request these keys from Allegro Credit directly. And our web page does provide you with the instructions on exactly how to do that. So basically, you are going to be sending an email to activateallegro@syf.com. You're going to be including your practice name, your Allegro account number, your clinic names, and all the locations that you want to have added. And at that point, you will receive, in a little bit later, a link that actually will detail instructions on how to activate and also the API key or keys, as might be the case. And definitely.
I think the question, Effie, is also, can this be done off hours, or if you could address that part of the question as well.
My apologies, I didn't catch what you just said, Andrea.
So the question is around, should this be done on off hours and due to issues with installing the integration? So I believe you can install it daytime, nighttime, right, without issues?
Absolutely. You can do the activation at any time that you want. It will not affect anything, and there will not be any integration issues when installing. It's simply entering a character key in a field that is already designated for it, getting basically it entered and saved, and you're off and ready to go.
Great.
All right, awesome. The next question is related to access privileges for users, either from or Allegro. Do we still set up user access privileges from Allegro or from Sycle? And there's a second part of that question, which I think probably a number of people have, which is, can we process returns from Sycle as well?
Yeah, I could take part of that. If you could jump in, the Allegro portal, allegrocredit.com, it's not going away. There are different tools and reports that you can run from that portal. So a lot of the user privileges, I would say, still originate from kind of the traditional Allegro portal, but the Sycle system will enable you to do all the application processing, funding loans, as well as returns. And if you can confirm that, but all the returns should be able to be done through the Sycle system.
Awesome. All right, next up, all payment choices are installments starting with 12 months. Is that correct?
That's correct. With Allegro, they're all installment loans. You know, there's 12, 24, 36, 48, and even 60-month loans. So there are several different loan terms. Some of them have a very competitive low patient APR. Others have a waived interest, which is similar to kind of a deferred interest, where if the patient pays in full in the given period, let's say 12-month period, they're not paying any interest on that loan. We waive the interest for Allegro. So there are several different options there.
And I think this is probably for Effie, but is there any way to select which terms and offers will populate? And I'm guessing to a front end user in Sycle. I'm guessing the question is there a way to limit what terms and offers a particular practice can provide?
Unfortunately not. The offers come directly from the Allegro side, and they are based strictly upon what the customer is approved for. So it's based basically on whether they're prime or subprime, and they will get offers associated thereafter.
All right, thank you. When payments are received, are they automatically entered in Sycle? And does that include the dispenser fee write-off? I'm not sure about the dispenser fee write-off portion of this question, but Effie, when payments are received, they automatically fund back to Sycle. Is that correct?
The payments that are received are automatically entered into Sycle, yes.
Okay. All right. We've got a number, and just we've got a number of questions, Amar, still coming through, and I think we've sort of answered this, but just to reiterate, in terms of the plans that are offered, the interest rates for, the merchant fees for the practice and the interest rates for the payment, it's best to just reach out to Allegro for that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I think since somebody who uses Allegro or is interested, we had the email address earlier, activateallegro@syf.com. We can support and make sure that all of you are clear on your the program that you're on with Allegro or Allwell. The traditional kind of with interest patient APRs range from 11.9 starting at 11.9. So again, they're very competitive and relatively low from a patient APR, and then there's waived interest as well. So we're not going to change or raise, I think I saw a question, the fees or the interest rates with this integration. So we're just making it easier to use Allegro through the Sycle system. So, but any specific account questions, we definitely are here to support with my sales team to make sure you either get signed up very quickly and expedited, or just clarify the programs that you're on today, or maybe you want to bring in secondary lending, for example.
So then we've got another question here, sort of related, I guess, to Allwell becoming Allegro. What if a provider had an Allwell account, but it was disabled? Do they need to reapply or anything like that?
Yeah, if it was disabled, we can look in the system to see if it's still active or dormant, and how to activate that, and if we need to expedite the kind of re-enrollment process if possible. We want to make sure it's easy as possible for anyone to sign up or enroll with Allegro, so we can take care of that. And I also saw a couple of questions, Dan. I could probably take these. Right now, during this phase 1 of the launch, for those who do leasing with Allegro, that will still have to be done through the Allegro portal directly. We do not have a leasing yet as part of the Sycle integration. It's on the roadmap. So did want to clarify that as well.
Okay, yep, I was going to come back to that one. And then we've got some questions. So let's just say a patient decides to use financing. We go ahead and the provider goes ahead and starts up the paperwork and puts in an application for Allegro. But at the time that they deliver or getting ready to deliver the hearing aids, the patient says, you know what, I'd actually like to use I'd actually like to write a check or something instead. How hard is it to change or cancel the application, refund the account, etc.?
Yeah, you simply would not obviously enable the transaction to take place, so you would not fund it. And as a result, nothing gets done unless it's funded. From your other end, you can certainly handle the invoice as you would normally, and then just indicate what kind of financing has taken place instead, be it check, cash, etc., or credit card.
Yeah, okay. The next question is, can someone please repeat the email address for activation? And there it is on screen, activateallegro@syf.com. So that's an easy way to go ahead and either request your API keys or also get into the concierge program with Allegro. Is that right, Amar?
Yeah, that's right. Again, my colleague and I, as a GM, we'll monitor that email. I've actually direct access to that email. So any questions, even direct questions, I think there was a question that came up, if there's any direct questions about Allegro, that email will be monitored, and we can make sure we're going to make sure we're following up with both API keys or just any other questions that come through. There will be an email for those who don't use Allegro yet on a process to sign up and enter kind of your information for your practice to become an Allegro account and to enroll. I think that email will be going out shortly. But this activate Allegro at syf.com, it is a monitored email by real people, including myself. So we'll make sure we're tracking that and getting back to everyone.
This next one I think is going to be for Effie, but or maybe Amar too. But in terms of the way that non-prime deals will display, is there any kind of distinction that it's a non-prime plan versus a regular plan? I guess they just want to make sure this current Allegro user, I'm assuming, just wants to understand how to distinguish non-prime from a prime plan.
Yes, there's actually several things that would distinguish it. First of all, you would see the approved amount. And the approved amount is indicative, of course, on whether it'll be prime or subprime. And each of your clinics do have those rates posted for them. So that's one indicator. The other indicator will be with respect to the loan offers that will be provided to them. Obviously, if it's prime lending, it will not require deposits, etc. If it is subprime lending, generally you may require a deposit. So that's a second marker.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to help clarify, a prime loan approval is up to $10,000. A subprime secondary lending loan approval is up to $5,000. So those indicators on up to approval amount is kind of a little tip in terms of what the approval was for.
Awesome. And this is more of an approval question too, but is this a soft hit on the patient's credit until the terms are selected, or is this a full-on credit check when you hit the apply button?
It very much is a hard credit pull. So the patient will be subjected to hard credit pull, which is why we also ask that you observe the minimum loan values that are indicated as per what has been already specified by Allegro. I would not try to process a loan that's under $1,000 for that reason. Again, it's subject to minimum loan values. So, and also a hard credit pull.
And Amar, is there a minimum loan value?
Yeah, the minimum loan value, I believe, is $750, but usually most purchases fall well above that. And then, as Effie stated, the final loan documentation is the hard credit check. The initial application, when you just hit apply, it's similar to what happens with Allegro today. For those familiar, that is a soft credit check. But if you do move all the way forward and get the final loan, that will definitely be the hard credit check that Effie's talking about.
Awesome. Will training materials be available in the need help section of Sycle? Effie?
Most definitely, there is going to be obviously this video, and also our training team will always be pleased to come in and assist you with respect to any questions that you might have on how to use the integration.
Okay. And it looks like the last, well, a couple more keep coming in, so we'll keep going here. Will there be one API key for an entire practice or one for each office? And the answer to that question is you could technically use the one API key for the entire practice, but it'd probably be better to use one for each office. As Amar, correct me if I'm wrong, on the Allegro side, that'll help you guys delineate where the transaction originated. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Occasionally, some practices who might have 3 or 4 locations might use one master account, but we definitely recommend you have one API and one account for every location. That way, it really helps tracking and a lot of downstream impacts where it's beneficial to have individual accounts for each location.
Awesome. And it sounds like we've got somebody that is a PayJunction user with the integration through Sycle and our credit card processing. And they're asking if setting this up with the API for Allegro will have any interference with the existing API for credit card processing. And the answer to that question is no. This is a completely separate connection. You shouldn't experience any issues with credit card processing done through Sycle once you activate this integration. And then the last question is, can you do a demonstration with a postponed delivery date, please? I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure how to answer that. Effie, you want to take this one?
Yes, absolutely. What we demonstrated was that we actually funded the loan on the very, very same day. And we did it purely for this presentation only. So assuming that 3 or 4 days passed before the patient was able to be provided with the equipment that they purchased, in 3 or 4 days, you can certainly go in and follow the exact same process we outlined. It does not change. We just showed you funding same day for 2 reasons, as I said. One is for the expediency for this demonstration, and secondly, on the off chance that you do have the equipment same day, you can fund same day.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for all the questions to the audience. That's fantastic, and this is really going to help us develop our FAQ that we'll include with some of the materials that we'll be getting out in short order. I just want to say on behalf of our panelists, on behalf of Allegro, thank you so much for attending today, and we really appreciate it. Of course, stay tuned. We'll have a number of other exciting product announcements coming soon. If you ever have any similar to what Indra was discussing earlier with us talking to customers and helping develop this integration, if you have interest in providing feedback, Indra, our product team, I'm sure would like to talk to you, right?
Absolutely, yes. I welcome any customers that would like to join, kind of get an inside look into future things that we're building and want to participate in validating some of the prototypes we're building, getting your feedback. The more customers that we involve in that process, we know we're really hitting the mark when we deliver our products to our customers. So welcome any customer wanting to participate in that exercise.
Awesome. And Amar, thank you so much for joining us. And everybody stay tuned for what will probably be I'm not sure what the next webinar will be, but we will be sending out invitations. Reach out to Allegro at activateallegro@syf.com if you need your API keys to go ahead and get the integration active, or to go ahead and become an account, a provider in the Allegro network.